Hi everybody, my name is Lance Smith, and this might be a bit of a shock to everybody. Some people think I may be delusional and messed up and lost. This isn't the case at all. Have you guys ever heard that imagination is your greatest power? Get a load of this. If someone is breaking policy or law, and you can't get help from anybody, imagination truly is your greatest power. If somebody is messing with you or bullying you, and you can't get help, imagination is your greatest power. If somebody's messing with your head, and it's not against policy and law, imagination is still your greatest power. So my entire life, even for the last 14 years, why everybody said Lance is delusional and mentally ill, I understood the whole time that I'm just a human named Lance. I knew what I was the entire time. So I mean, what happened to me, it's 2025. In 2011, what happened to me, while I was sober and awake, I had a hallucination that scared me and gave me paranoia. So I left my job and I quit my job and I isolated myself in my room. I needed my family and friends' help. They didn't help me. They chose to mess with my head while I was isolating myself. 2 weeks later, I got a severe concussion. So I was now I now had a severe concussion mixed with paranoia. And then I wound up in a mental hospital, even though I needed a medical hospital. Anyways, so when talking to a psychiatrist, I would tell him something like, I had a hallucination and it's causing me paranoia. I would like to talk to you about my hallucination. Is paranoia a mental illness? If it is, then I have the mental illness of paranoia. And the psychiatrist would tell me something like, no, paranoia is not a mental illness. You do not have any paranoia. You are bipolar, and I don't want to hear about your hallucination. So for 14 years, I had like 500 different conversations with psychiatrists that have studied psychology and psychiatry for 8 years, and they don't let me talk about my hallucination or my paranoia. They just want me to keep my mouth shut and tell everybody that I'm bipolar and that I need medication. That was so the idea in 2011. When you're talking to a psychiatrist and he doesn't hear anything you say. It's kind of like, so I'm dealing with a criminal and, I'm contacting the police and the FBI and nobody's responding. It's kind of like I'm trying, the psychiatrist sitting in front of me, I do want to kill him. I want to murder him. If not murder him, I want to get out of the hospital. So your mind's just trying to do what it can to either kill the doctor or get out of the hospital. Starting in 2011, I started getting held illegally in jail and illegally in mental hospitals. So for 14 years in jail and mental hospitals, I probably went under 100 different names. And the entire time I knew I was Lance, just a human that was a victim of a crime and a human that had a hallucination that needed help with paranoia. Again, it would have been very easy to help me with my paranoia. It was a hallucination that caused paranoia. So after everybody would have helped me with the hallucination, okay, it would have disappeared, and all my paranoia would have disappeared, and I would have been cured within 24 hours. But yeah, so in jail and in mental hospitals, I knew that I was just a human named Lance that was a victim of a crime and had a severe concussion. And it took me a few years to cure all my paranoia, but I also had to accept the truth that some of my paranoia wasn't paranoia, it was reality. These psychiatrists are criminals trying to ruin my life and trying to torture me and put me in pain and misery. I had to accept that reality. So in the last 14 years, in jail and mental hospitals, I went under about 100 different names. On different social media sites, I went under another 100 different names. So I went under like 200 different names, and I understood the whole time it was just the power of imagination. I'm not delusional or messed up or lost at all. If you talk to me in person, you're going to find out that I have better mental health than most people that you know, if not everyone you know. So in 2011, I understood I was just a human named Lance, and I was a waiter. I then had a hallucination, and I quit my job, and I understood I was a human named Lance who had a hallucination who needed help. Then I got a concussion, and I understood that I was a human named Lance that was a victim of a crime that had a severe concussion and had a hallucination, and I need medical help. Medical help first, and after medical help, I need some mental help. I need people to help me with my hallucination and my paranoia. Again, it wouldn't have taken long to cure at all. I just needed someone to listen to me and respond honestly. Not say, there is no mental illness called paranoia, you're bipolar, okay? And by the way, so for 14 years, I understood that I was just a human named Lance and a victim of a bunch of serious crimes. And in those 14 years, I did nothing illegal, and here, let me put that a little bit differently. I'm a complete genius. So when I did something illegal out in public, like steal, I would steal something. Innocent and a necessity. So I would steal something like a breakfast sandwich maker, and if I got arrested by the cops, I wanted to plead guilty, and I wanted to go to the stand, and I wanted to speak to a 12-person jury and the public and the judge, and they say, Lance, you stole a breakfast sandwich maker. Could you please tell us why you pled innocent to stealing this breakfast sandwich maker? And I would tell them the truth. It's because I got sexually assaulted by two cops, and in jail, a police guard beat me up for no reason. And I'm actually an innocent man, and I'm not mentally ill, and I want you guys to understand what happened to me. And I stole the breakfast sandwich maker because I wanted a speedy trial to happen so I could tell you guys. If you guys want to tell me I am guilty of stealing the breakfast sandwich maker, I am okay with that. But now you guys know that I am not mentally ill, and that I did get sexually assaulted by a cop, and a guard beat me up for no reason. So, that was the objective when I was stealing stuff like breakfast sandwich maker, okay? Stuff to make a breakfast sandwich. The movie Frosty the Snowman. Lights, fancy grape lights to put up in my apartment. A down comforter. Bottles of fancy wine. Steak and cheese. Stuff that was innocent. The point was, if I got caught, I wanted to go to the stand and tell everybody why I stole it. I'm trying to get through to everybody. Look, okay, I'm not mentally ill, okay? And I dealt with some serious criminals. And that was another point I wanted to get crossed. Okay, the criminal judge has told everybody that I'm gravely disabled and that I'm not able to talk for myself. And I'm trying to get to the stand to tell everybody just follow the policies and laws of the court and it'll prove my innocence and all the criminals will go to jail. But I mean, the criminal judge, he's been there all 14 years and he breaks every law in the book. And so that was the idea of the crimes that I did do, like stealing or, other than stealing. Let me see here. People probably don't want to hear this, but I will tell you this. I had a girlfriend who became my ex-girlfriend. And that was another thing. When I had my hallucination, I told everybody I need to talk to my girlfriend. And everybody turned around her and told her Lance is doing illegal drugs. So she wouldn't talk to me. I haven't done one illegal drug in my life, okay? So, 5 years down the road, my ex-girlfriend puts a restraining order on me. And in the restraining order, it says, I want this restraining order on Lance because he's doing illegal drugs, okay? So, my smart mind said, well, first off, if a restraining order goes through, the court has to ask me, okay, a restraining order is going through. Okay, do you approve it or you disapprove? If I disapprove, they have to make a court hearing happen. So I go to the court hearing, and my girlfriend comes to the court hearing, and we both have to explain to the judge. I have to say, this is why you don't need the restraining order. She says, this is why I do need the restraining order, and it's up to the judge. That's the first step. But yeah, they skip that step, that law. It's a law, it's straight up a law. Okay, so they skip that law, and I get a restraining order. So my mind's saying, you know what? If I break the restraining order, and I go for a speedy trial, and I represent myself as my own attorney, okay, so the idea is I'm going to make a speedy trial happen. I want a 12-person jury. It's going to be open to the public, so my ex-girlfriend's family and friends, her father, her boyfriend, her husband, whoever wants to come to the court hearing, okay, can come into the court. There's going to be a judge. There's going to be 12 juries. There's going to be 2 prosecutors. Okay, there's going to be a scribe. There's going to be a bailiff. And the entire city is welcome to come watch. Okay, I'm going to represent myself as my own attorney. Okay. I'm going to say, hi, Jennifer, okay, my ex-girlfriend, okay. I just want you to know I haven't done one illegal drug in my life. I'm a good person, okay. Do you want the restraining order, yes or no? If she says yes, okay, then I go to jail for breaking the restraining order. If she says no, okay, I just fixed a huge problem in the city, okay. So for 14 years, this judge broke every single law that he could. I would say hundreds of laws, but it's like thousands. Like every time I come to court, he's not letting me sign documents. He's telling people can talk to me when they can. He's trying to piss me off, and that's illegal to do. He's lying. He's holding me in jail illegally. He's sending me to mental hospitals illegally. For 14 years, this guy's broken 1,000 laws, and he's earned himself life in prison. So, I mean, for 14 years, okay, I knew I was Lance the whole time. I did suffer from paranoia. I don't know what the correct mental illness is from that, but it wasn't really bad paranoia, and most of my paranoia wasn't paranoia. It was reality. And it could have been cured very quickly with a real psychiatrist. But anyways, for 14 years, I understood I was just a human named Lance and a victim of a bunch of disgusting and serious crimes. And in those 14 years, I did nothing but study. And do you guys know what a doctor is? A doctor is simply someone who studied for 8 years. I mean, that's in a nutshell. If you want to get more factual about it, a doctor is someone that has graduated from an 8-year college university. Okay, so for 8 years, a human studied about 40 hours a week for 8 years, and they graduated from an 8-year college university. Okay, and now you're a doctor. See, there's a bunch of different kinds of doctors out there. When I was growing up, I used to think there's just one kind of doctor. Okay, all doctors are medical family doctors, all of them. So I mean, when I meet a doctor, I believe they're all surgeons, they're all psychiatrists, they're all the same thing. But there's hundreds of different kinds of doctors out there, and I mean, if you go to college to be a doctor, you don't have to go after one subject. Most doctors do and are encouraged to. But if you just go to a college university and graduate after eight years, you're a graduate doctor. But anyways, so I studied for 14 years, not 40 hours a week, more like 80 hours a week, okay? So I'm actually more educated than most medical doctors. I'm extremely educated, and trying to think here. Let me see here. I have no problem calling myself a PhD doctor. Okay, I know what a PhD is better than most people who have PhDs. And I'm also comfortable calling myself a psychiatric doctor and a psychological doctor. I'm comfortable calling myself a psychiatrist and a psychologist. And, the idea is, so I'm Lance Smith. I'm 36 years old, and I'm a freelance designer, okay? When it comes to my own, freelance means self-educated. Don't argue with me. And I call myself a designer because what I'm most passionate about is clothes. Designing cool clothes for myself to wear and other people to wear. But I actually have like 10 other careers. Let me see here. Yeah, so what I'm saying is, to become a freelance, it takes way more willpower than someone who goes to college. So, the idea is someone goes to college for 2 years and they study 40 hours a week. And someone with the willpower says, you know what, I'm going to study 40 hours a week on my own. You go to the library, you use the internet, you use your community, and you study random stuff or structured stuff on your own, 40 hours a week for 2 years. It takes way more willpower because you have to put the time in, you have to grade yourself, and you have to progress yourself. And you can't give up. You have to keep going. So when you're when you're freelance educating yourself, unless you have the correct parents, family, and friends, You don't get any support. You don't get any recognition, even when you graduate. People don't believe you're a freelance in most cases. So, I mean, anyone can study on their own. If you just study something, 40 hours a week, for a couple years, when you're done, you're a freelance. I'm not kidding. Anyone can do it, but you have to have the willpower to study. And you can freelance study for as long as you want. So if you freelance study for 8 years, you are as educated as a doctor. I mean, you can call yourself a freelance doctor. And I mean, they say, the doctor is someone who has graduated from an 8-year university. I'm trying to think of what you could call the freelance university. Yeah, I graduated freelance university. No, I have to come up with something more clever. I'm trying to think. How would you call becoming a graduating freelance education for 8 years? What would you call that university? Community? I don't know. Trying to think. You could call it WP University for Willpower University. But I think you guys get the picture. So, look, when you go to study to be a doctor, you can just become a graduate doctor, but most doctors are connected to a certain subject. And most doctors, you have to go to a specific school, to become a specific kind of doctor, Almost all of them. You want to be a surgeon, You want to be, nutritionist. You want to be medical. You want to be bone. You got to go and do the textbook stuff, Now, psychology and psychiatry, it's just common sense, man. If you have good mental health and you accept the common sense in the situation, go study psychology for 8 years. At the end of it, you're like, if you have the willpower to study psychology on my own, you are far beyond the psychiatrists and psychologists that studied the textbooks, because there's a bunch of garbage in the textbooks, a shitload of garbage in these textbooks. So, you may ask me, how do you think you can be a psychiatrist? They went and studied medications. The medications are complete common sense. So the idea, there's every diagnosis that you can have. It's kind of like, give me all the diagnoses and all the definitions of the symptoms on the diagnoses. If there's 12 of them, give me all 12 pieces of paper. I got them out in front of me. It says what is what. Ready? Talk to the patient. Which one does he tie closest to? It's like this one. So it's schizophrenia. You ready? Here's the common sense for the medications. You ready? Show me all the medications for schizophrenia, It might show 10 medications, is he allergic to anything? If yes, it's kind of like we can't use this one, or this one, After that, you pick one and you give it to him, and if it makes a difference, then you chose the right one. If it doesn't, try something new, Psychology and psychiatry are like the easiest subject in the world. Yes, it really is. Psychology and psychiatry is the easiest subject in the world. I'm not making fun of psychiatrists or psychologists or anybody in that practice at all. Psychology and psychiatry is super, super important, and it's making a huge impact in this world. But what is wrong with psychology and psychiatry? There's a lot wrong with it. Let me see here. There's a lot wrong with it, but it's come a ways. It hasn't come a long ways. There's a ton improvement for it. I was trying to think. The psychologists. I was talking about how easy it is. Again, it's extremely important. And And those who study it and get the jobs in these situations, because it's so easy, they have it made, okay? You come to work, you listen to someone talk, and you try to help them. That's what your job is. It's not hard. You get paid a lot of money, okay? You get good insurance. You get good respect. It's an extremely important job, okay? But you have to try, you just simply try to help the person in front of you, okay? So, I mean, one big problem is, this guy studies for 8 years, and then it's the whole, there's a bunch of things that happen in the situation. I mean, the psychiatrist doctor, he has his own personal problems in life, so he wants to take it out on his patients. Or maybe he was in a clique in school, he's a jock and he doesn't like skaters. And, I come in and I'm a skater. And he goes, well, I am a psychiatrist now and I'm going to put you through hell. Okay. It's easy for psychiatrists and psychologists to get away with that. And what am I thinking? But yeah, it's a super easy job. It's super important. It's a super chill job. It's super fun. I've learned that it doesn't matter what hospital it is, if the psychiatrist and the psychologist are trying, okay, it makes the whole hospital feel like a carnival. You're going through some bad stuff in your head and you're really scared and you come into this hospital. It's a hospital. If the psychiatrist and the psychologist are trying to help people, it trickles through everybody in the hospital. They're trying to help too. So if the psychiatrist and the psychologist are trying to help, the mental patient accepts they're in a hospital. Okay, they're not in jail. You're not in jail anymore. You're in a hospital. And it feels really, really, really good. You're just letting your mind rest. You're letting people trying to help you. And there's a bunch of cool, the hospitals are filled, okay, with a ton of cool stuff. And it's easy to improve people if the psychiatrist and psychologist want to just try to help. You don't have to be a spectacular psychologist or psychiatrist to just try to help people every day. So, often psychologists and psychiatrists, they either want to bully their patients or they have mental illnesses themselves. But yeah, if you go to a mental hospital and you've come from jail or you've come from prison or you've come from the streets, when you understand people are trying to help you, you're not in jail, you're in a hospital, and it feels extremely good. They're like, we want you to relax, take this pill, we're trying to help you, we're here for you to vent, we're here for you to talk, we want to talk about, getting a job in life, we want you to work on your hobbies, we want you to enjoy food, we want you to enjoy taking showers and washing your body. We're here to just pick you up and get you going into society again. If the psychiatrist and the psychologist are just trying to help, mental hospitals are magical. It's like going into a carnival, 3 months later, they say it's time for you to go, and some people actually don't want to go. It's kind of like, is it okay if I stay here for another 3 months? And sometimes the doctor says, okay, but 3 more months and we're not going to let you stay any longer. But if they're trying to help, people are okay to stay there for 12 months. It's kind of like, I'm just getting some rest, and their minds are saying, when I get out of here, I'm going to get a real job because my psychiatrist and my psychologist and all my staff have helped me. When I get out of here, I'm ready to get a job and I'm ready to live life like everybody else, And if you have a mental illness, it's good to accept it, but you need to have the correct mental illness, and you need to have the correct pills. So, when psychiatrists are trying to mess with everybody's heads, he knows what mental illness he has, but he chooses a different one, and he puts them on the wrong pill, And it's just making a person angry and sad and sick. And then they let him out into society, and it reflects society the same way. He's now twice as dangerous as he came in, because the doctor, I've been through it. You're in this, you just want to kill the doctor the entire time. And then when you get out, not me, but some people, because they want to kill the doctor, they're going to go kill someone else because they want to kill the doctor so damn bad. Let me see here. I guess somebody wrote a book called Something About Something and Something Over the Cuckoo's Nest, an old book about a patient that came into a mental hospital, and he started diagnosing the patients himself. I did that in real life, and when I started doing it, a psychiatrist pulled me off to the side and said, "Hey, Lance, have you ever read the book, Something Over the Cuckoo's Nest?" And I said, "No, what's it about?" He's like, "Well, there's this patient that came in, and he would pull patients off to the side and give them different diagnoses." So the doctors caught me doing that, and it really pissed them off. They gave me the wrong diagnosis, and I was upset about it, and I understood that all the other patients were going through the same thing. So in the cafeteria, I would have them sit down in front of me, and I would say, "You can call me Dr. Smith." Okay, I understand that the psychiatrist is treating us all incorrectly, and I was wondering if you would like to talk to me for a little bit and see if I can help you, as a patient doctor. And they would talk to me, and they would explain to me, how angry they are at the doctor, and how their pills are making them sick, and how they believe there's this mental illness, but the doctor says otherwise. And I would say, the doctor's actually a criminal, so, us patients are trying to work together to get the doctor to do his job right. But right now, I want you to accept that you do have this mental illness, and why I'm here, I'm going to try to help you, okay? And I would do it with with 10 different patients right in front of the staff, okay? So I'm in the cafeteria, and the staff members that work under the psychiatrist and the psychologist are watching me sit with these patients, and then a psychologist, calls me into the office with the psychiatrist, and they're like, "Lance, have you ever read this book?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Okay, and we're gonna up your medication." It's kind of like holy shit, this is just getting retarded, and it's super irritating. I'm a skinny person who's 5'8" and 3/4. Okay. In 14 years, I probably had 30 different psychiatrists. And I shit you not, every time I have a fat psychiatrist, okay, well, let's start with the skinny ones. Whenever I have a skinny psychiatrist, they look at my report, and it's 5,000 pages of Lance's bipolar. So they say, "Okay, Lance, I'm here to talk to you." Okay. And I'll talk to him for 2 hours, and at the end of it, they go, "Yeah, you know what? I don't think you have a mental illness, so I'm not going to make you take anything. Just follow all the policies and rules in the hospital, and if you show any symptoms of mental illness, I'm going to prescribe you a medication." And I'll say, "Thank you, I appreciate that." I only got to have 2 skinny doctors, but every time I get a fat doctor, they'll tell me, "Lance, how did you get here?" And I'll start talking. About 3 minutes later, they'll say, "Stop talking. Okay, I need you to accept that you're bipolar. If you don't take your medications, then I'm going to inject you with a needle." Okay. Anyways, and not just that, so it's skinny people my height, okay, they listen to me perfectly, okay. A tall, skinny doctor will listen to me sometimes, okay. But if I get a tall doctor that doesn't like me, okay, he'll force me to take medications too. So, racism doesn't just happen with skin color, okay. If there's a tall guy that doesn't like short people, okay, he'll abuse you. And fat people, okay, I've learned there's a difference between abuse and obesity, okay? There's a difference between abuse and fat. Okay, again, it's a proven fact now. Okay, all humans have the ability to be skinny. All of them. There is not a gene that causes you to be fat. Okay, it's now a sickness. Okay, it's an illness. Okay, if you are fat, okay, and it's not from childhood abuse, okay, you are not capable of being a psychologist or a psychiatrist. It is impossible. Okay, you have a sickness and you can't do it. Impossible. Okay, you have to go get. I mean, if you're fat, okay, you can be a medical doctor, you can be a surgeon doctor. You can't do mental health. Okay, your mental health is too messed up. Okay, you get a skinny person and you're upset. I've taken the time to meditate the situation. Why does a fat person always get upset with me? And they suffer from gluttony. And gluttony is massive amounts of pornography and massive amounts of eating too much food. Okay, when they're alone in their free time, they're watching every kind of pornography there is. So the idea is, if you watch two skinny people having sex, okay, and then he turns around and he's talking to a skinny man, okay, he's upset about it. Okay, he just thinks life is just sex and food, and he's mad at you because you're skinny and you have sex with skinny girls. Okay, that's what my mind is set. Okay, again, if you suffer from gluttony, okay, if you're fat, okay, and it wasn't from childhood abuse, okay, you can't be a psychiatrist or a psychologist. Okay, you have to put an end to your own gluttony and get physically healthy. If you suffer from gluttony and you study psychiatry and psychology for 20 years, okay, you haven't learned anything. Okay, super irritating. You guys don't want to know the disgusting shit that I have gone through in mental hospitals. And this was something that I was going, oh, this really did happen in a mental hospital. So, I went 13 times. I always go to jail, ask for my speedy trial. And, I'll tell you guys this real quick. Okay, so when you go to court and you have been charged with a fine, you have the right to plead guilty or not guilty. Okay? If you plead not guilty, you have the right to go to a speedy trial. Okay, but to go to a speedy trial, okay, you have to be three things. It's called competent. You have to be competent to stand trial, and to be competent, you have to be three things. You have to be able to assist in your own defense. What are the three terms? I can express them differently. Okay, let me think here. Okay. You have to understand the charge against you, assist in your own defense, and be able to wait your turn to talk. So the idea is assist in your own defense is be able to answer questions that are asked towards you, and then be able to speak for yourself. That's assist in your own defense. And then the second thing is you have to be able to wait your turn to talk, okay? And the third thing is understand, okay, your charge. So those three simple things, most people in America are able to do, okay? And I am one of those people that are the top of the list that can do it, man. I tell you guys what, I can answer questions, okay, that are spoken at me, okay, and I can speak for myself. I'm a very patient person. In certain situations, and court is one of them, so I am really able to wait my turn to speak, and I always clearly understand, okay, my the charge against me. So I went to jail 25 times, and I pled not guilty every time, and I went to a mental hospital 13 times, and I wasn't given one speedy trial. So, yeah, I come to court, and you say, at this point, I told you guys I studied for 14 years, so I studied psychiatry, psychology, court of law, music, art, clothes, the Bible, many books, literature, okay, and a bunch of other stuff too. So I would go to court, and and I asked for a speedy trial. The judge says you're clearly not competent, so I'm going to give you a competency evaluation. They send me a competency psychologist evaluator, okay, and I'll spend 2 hours answering everything perfectly, and then I'll watch the psychologist makes a fake report. He hands it off to the judge, and the judge says, I'm sending you to the mental hospital again. And this happened one time. So I actually spoke with the psychological evaluator for about 2 hours, and we had a very sophisticated conversation for like 2 hours. And at the end of it, he filled out the report, and when I'm in court, I'm doing everything I can to make motions happen for myself while every law in the book is happening. But anyway, so I made a motion happen where the psychological evaluator had to come to the court and get to the stand and tell the courtroom, okay, do you believe that Lance is competent or not competent to stand trial? So this psychologist that came to the stand, we watched him talk for like 45 minutes, and at the end of it, the judge said, so do you think that Lance is competent to go to trial? Do you think Lance is able to go to trial or not go to trial? And he goes, you know what? Lance is so smart that he doesn't know what is going on. No, I am sure that he is not able to go to trial. And the judge said, yes, I agree. And the prosecuting attorney said, I agree too. Okay. And my defendant attorney said, yep, I agree too. Lance is so smart that he is not able to go to trial. So let's drop his charge and release him to society. Okay. And let's put him on probation. He has to check in with a DOC officer once a week, and he has to check in with a psychiatrist once a month. Okay. Release him, drop his charge, no court trial. So the idea is, if I would have been able to go to one speedy trial, I would have won my case and well over $1 million, and criminals would have gone to jail. For 14 years, it was the same stupid bullshit and circus. But anyways, one time when I got sent to the mental hospital, seriously, I always have to wait for a bed to open in the mental hospital, and I'm sitting in a jail cell, and then they'll actually take me into the lobby and put shackles on me and stick me in one of those scary transportation vehicles. I'm in shackles, my arms are in shackles, and my waist is in shackles, and my ankles are in shackles, and I waddle into one of those scary transportation things, and I get driven 3 hours to a mental hospital. So I'm a good genius man, with no mental illness, and I'm completely competent. And the criminal judge, when courts happen, it costs money. To hold a man in jail, it costs money. And then he orders that he wants gasoline filled up in a transportation thing, and he wants to pay $500 in gasoline to have Lance taken to a mental hospital. And then he wants to pay thousands of dollars to have Lance stay in a mental hospital for 12 months. Yeah. 12 months, yeah, have him stay in there. I'm going to pay money to just have this kid stay. I'm just going to pay money to break law in every single way. So, I mean, and I haven't looked into it, but it's actually a Bible verse, and this probably is correct. This is an ancient punishment. It's called avenge sevenfold, is if you punish an innocent man on purpose, you're given 7 times the punishment. So if a criminal judge holds an innocent man in a jail cell for 1 year, I believe by law he has to be given 7 years in jail. That may not be true, but I wouldn't be surprised if it is, because it's a Bible verse. And there's all these subjects in life. You know, there's court of law, there's the car engine, there's farming. Okay, they've all developed in time, and the rules of court of law have developed too. They started a very long time ago, and they've come a long ways. But yeah, so what I'm saying is, all these, someone took the time to say you commit this crime, and you have to be given this sentence, and this sentence will correct you. I mean, the worse crime, the higher the sentence, but the higher the sentence because it will correct you. So, but I'm not going to be surprised if you get caught punishing an innocent man. I wouldn't be surprised if it's 7 times the punishment. So meaning, yeah, if you hold a guy in jail for 1 year, okay, you have to be given 7 years. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if it's changed either, but I doubt it has changed. Anyways, one time when I got shackled and sent to the mental hospital, I got really lucky. I got a skinny, tall psychiatrist, and he completely loved me. And he's talked with me, and he was just like, yeah, I don't know why you're here. Okay. So he said, you know, the judge wants you here for 6 months, you know, just follow policy and law in the hospital. I'm not worried about you at all. And I said, thank you so much, man. I appreciate that. It feels really good. I can just enjoy being here because, I mean, I get to know that thing. Like I said, a mental hospital is like a carnival. If the psychiatrist and psychologist there, it feels good to just relax and get mental help and get other help too. Whatever help you can get. It's good to just relax and get help. I mean, you can go check out a book from the library. You can play video games. You can play board games. They have a bunch of art projects. If you move to a different part, there's a ton of stuff. I'll get to that maybe if I have enough time for this video. But anyways, this one time, so day 1, my tall, skinny psychiatrist says, yeah, I'm not going to put you on anything. I'm not worried about you. The judge says you got 6 months. And I'll let you go after 6 months. And I said, thanks, you know, I appreciate that. So I had this really just good attitude while I was there. So I was in good spirits. And, you know, I'm not going to diagnose any of the patients. I'm in a good ward with a good psychologist, so all the patients are acting good too. I'll point that out real quick. If you're in a ward and the doctor is giving wrong diagnoses, everybody's angry and there's fights almost daily, and it's really dangerous to be in these wards. You're with 40 other people, 20 girls and 20 dudes, and they're all angry. And fights break out all the time. You know, I've been decked in the face from behind and had to have stitches while I was in the ward. It sucked. But anyway, so I'm in this ward. All the patients are happy, and the doctor's trying his best to help everybody, and it's relaxing and nice. So they have a gym, and we're allowed to work out twice a week. A really nice, well, it's not a big gym, but it's nice and has a boom box and a bunch of weights and other things in it. And I started to get into working out, and a bunch of other patients wanted to work out with me. And for 45 minutes, we would all work out together really, really, really hard. And it was it was fun and fulfilling, and these patients were looking forward to workout day with me. Not just that, in the evening time, we would all pick out a movie together, and either that or we would all play a board game together, and that was nice. And we all eat in the cafeteria together, and we all had fun eating food together, and it was quiet and peaceful, and we would talk about the food, and it was fun seeing all the patients talk about the food. They would just talk about the food a little bit, and they enjoyed that too. And what they looked forward to most is 7 days a week we got to go outside once a day. And we would go outside, and there was some athletic boys in there, some athletic men in there with me, and I would say, do you guys want to play basketball today, or do you guys want to play football today? And they would choose. So we would either play like a 3-on-3 basketball game, or we would play on like a 7-on-7 football game. And I would direct two people be captain, and they would choose captains, and everyone would pick their position. And we would play organized football, and everybody would like to watch us. And, and the quarterbacks were getting into running plays, and so were all the patients. And everyone would try new positions every day. There was running backs. They would take turns doing quarterbacks. And we played basketball games every day. I even got the baseball out one day. We had softballs, and a couple of us got into pitching, and everyone thought that was cool. But yeah, these patients, we would get done playing football, and it was like finishing a real game or a practice, and they would all talk about how cool it was to play football today, and they were all talking about what position they were going to play tomorrow. They were looking forward to it. So the whole hospital was really happy. The doctors trying to help the patients. They're having a lot of fun working out twice a week. Everybody's getting excited for yard time. In the evening time, we all get excited to pick out a movie or play a video game, and we've all checked out books that we read in our own rooms. It's really peaceful. So this skinny doctor I had, 2 months later, he switched to a different hospital. He took another job in another city. He either took a better job, or he just wanted to move to a different city, but he was gone. And the next day, the new psychiatrist came, and it was this really fat guy. And, all the patients are happy, and the fat doctor, after a couple days, was like, these patients are acting incorrectly. And he talks to me, and I explain to him, what my diagnosis is. My diagnosis is I have no mental illness. And, I'm just trying to get out after 3 months, and I'm just trying to work out and enjoy food and sleep while I'm here. And when I'm done talking, he says, well, I read all your back reports. You're bipolar, and I'm going to make you take medications right now. Okay. And, I fought against it as much as I could, and he ended up, and that's another law that they break. There's rules in the hospital too. For 2 weeks, a psychiatrist can't force you to take medication. After 2 weeks, if I still refuse medication, he has to make a court hearing happen with a judge. And then the court hearing happens, and the judge talks to the psychiatrist and says, this is why he needs it, and he has to talk to me, this is why I don't need it. And I always make the court hearing happen. And the judge always says, yeah, force him to take the medication. So anyways, I worked as hard as I could. I'm not going to take the medication. And they always pull dumb shit with me. Well, I'm going to make you take the medication. You've waited this long. Do you want the pill or the shot? I was like, you're going to make me take it. I'll take the pill. And he goes, you know what? You actually react better to the shot, so I'm going to give you the shot. So they'll inject me with a shot of bipolar medication that I clearly don't need, and I've explained it to people. If you don't have a cough and you take cough syrup, it makes you feel disgusting. You feel like throw up and you're dizzy. So I don't have bipolar, and they're injecting me with this, and it just makes me throw up, dizzy. I can't breathe. I can't sleep. So after 2 months, my entire ward's having fun playing football. They're having fun getting mental help. They're having fun working out. They're just enjoying the hospital and improving their life. And a fat doctor comes in. He injects me with medication. I don't even feel like going to the yard now. I don't feel like working out. I don't feel like doing anything. And the entire ward just gets really depressed and sad and angry. All these psychiatrists and psychologists that diagnose me bipolar, I want them to have life in prison. Like, holy shit. And the judges, even worse. I want them to have longer life in prison. But regarding psychology and psychiatry, I've explained it to psychiatrists and psychologists even. I've told them, I've looked into it. Out of all subjects in life, psychology and psychiatry is what we need least, and it has been studied least too. Okay, we do need it, and it is important, and just as important as everything, but it is the least important subject. And because it is the least important subject, it's been studied the least, and it's been developed the least. So I've told them, when the truck engine came out, when the car engine came out, when the truck engine, the first car engine, let's call it the Ford truck engine. When it came out, it went like 5 miles an hour, but it was a big deal, and it was and it was making progress, and it was making a huge impact on America, okay, on the world, okay, this truck engine, okay, it moves 5 miles an hour, okay, we have built the truck engine, it's moving us 5 miles an hour, and we're trying to develop the truck engine, okay. They developed a bunch, and look at what the truck engine is doing now. We can now drive around at 70 miles an hour. We can drive around at 10 miles an hour, 30 miles an hour, super long distances, okay? So what I've told psychiatrists and psychologists is psychiatry and psychology right now is that first Ford truck engine. Okay, we have built the engine and it's moving us 5 miles an hour. Okay, but in time it's going to be studied and it's going to improve and it's going to be moving us as fast as the truck engines are today. Okay, right now it's moving 5 miles an hour, but someday it's going to be moving 70 miles an hour. But right now we have built that first truck engine, and it's moving 5 miles an hour, and it's really irritating to me, man, because I'm sitting here in this mental hospital, and I shouldn't be. This is just so damn irritating, I tell you guys what. But yeah, and that's the truth. There's all these subjects in life, okay? You got farming, you got construction, you got mechanics, you got medicine, you have so many things out there, and it's all being developed and it's all improving, like that truck engine. The courtroom, it's still improving. Psychiatry, okay, it's been studied the less, and it is important, and it is going to dramatically improve. But right now it's got a lot of things to fix. It's got a lot of things to work on. But someday it's dramatically going to help everybody. But holy shit, right now it is so fucking irritating because you go in there and it's not hard for the whole hospital to just operate good. It just takes a good psychiatrist and psychologist just try to help the person. You know, that's what's so damn sensitive, or you're in this hospital, you can't call 911, you can't call the FBI. I mean, you can, but they don't show up. So yeah, your psychiatrist is sitting there, and he can give you the wrong pill if he wants to, and they do all the time. All you have to do is try to give the right pill. If the patient says, this pill is making me sick, okay, could you please change my pill or not make me take one? Okay, the psychiatrist needs to say, yes, I can do that for you, not, you know what, you need more. You need more of it. I tell you what, yeah, you need much more. much more. It's kind of like, and me, I'm going to go home, and I'm a fat guy, so I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna get paid, you know, $10,000 a month, and I'm just gonna watch porn and eat and watch porn and eat and watch porn and eat and come back and make you eat pills that you don't need, and this is my life, you know. And it's just like, that's what psychology is right now. I mean, just like, wow, it's just such bullshit. I'm really upset about it, but I'm getting over it. Where was I going with this video? I was trying to make it for a certain situation, just explaining to people, okay, I know that I am just a human named Lance. Okay, in 2011, I was just a human named Lance. That was a waiter. I then became a human named Lance with a hallucination and paranoia. And then a human named Lance that was a victim of a crime and had a severe concussion and had paranoia. And then for 14 years, I was a human named Lance that was a victim that was studying education with my own willpower. And I'm now 36 years old, and I'm just a human named Lance that is a freelance designer. Imagination, yeah, you know, it really is your greatest power. If someone is breaking policy or law and no one will respond. Yeah, in those mental hospitals, if you know a doctor, okay, is treating you incorrectly, they have a police number that patients can call. If you call on your doctor, they don't respond, but if you call about other patients, they do. Yeah, if you get punched in the face and you call the police line, they'll come and they'll press a charge on the person who punched you. But if you know your psychiatrist is treating you wrong, the cops don't care. And there's not security in you know, that's one of those truck engine things that we need to approve. We need to create some kind of system that makes it not able for psychiatrists to mistreat patients. Where was I going with this? Yeah, imagination. So I am so good with imagination right now. I tell you what, I've got some cool books to write in the future that, you know, fun fiction books that everybody will enjoy, and psychological books that will help everybody. My hallucination and my paranoia made my mind go through some really messed up stuff, but I now understand that other people go through similar messed up stuff, if not the same thing. So I'm going to write this psychological book called Z Nightmare, That's going to help a lot of people, if not everybody. Um, yeah, it was funny. People regarding fictional books. There's this fairy tale that I want to write. I mean, the first fairy tale I want to write is going to be called The Prince in the Mirror. A a simple, comedic, very magical fairy tale called The Prince in the Mirror. That's the first book I want to write. But the second one, I think it's gonna be a really big deal to everybody. It's gonna be a fairy tale called The Black Peach Tree, and when you read these fairy tales, they're always filled with war, and they're filled with violence, and they're filled with drama, and they're filled with magic, and they're filled with so many different things. I've told people, just thinking about it, I don't want my fairy tale in real life. I don't want a fairy tale. I don't want a love story that has drama and has war and has battles. So I've told people I want to write a fairy tale that has zero drama, has zero war, has zero violence. And I want to write this just simple, peaceful, very simple, peaceful, fun to read book. The whole thing is just simple and peaceful and happy, and has that fairy tale happy ever after. And I feel like it might end up being everybody's favorite fairy tale, because that's the story everybody wants to live. No drama, no violence, nothing, just peace and happy all the way. Okay, to the girl of your dreams. If you're a girl, to the boy of your dreams. So, and what causes a fairy tale is there's something in the book that can't happen in real life. There's something magic. So, I mean, in The Black Peach Tree, there's only going to be one magic thing in it, and it's not even going to be that magic. The rest of the book, it's going to be realistic. And I think everybody's going to love that too. But the one magic thing isn't even that magic. Okay? A boy is going to walk into the woods. With his mom. Okay? Towards the beginning of the book, he's going to... I mean, I'm running out of time. I'll explain the book a little bit better later. He's going to go towards the beginning of the book. He's going to go on a walk in the woods with his mom, and together the mom and his son are going to find a black peach tree, just a charcoal pitch black tree that has peaches growing off of it. And what's fairy tale about that, and what's magic about that, is you're never going to find a black peach tree in real life. So that's the one piece of magic that's going to be in this fairy tale. Everything else in it's going to be peaceful, happy, realistic, with a really, really magical ending that is realistic. Okay? The boy and the girl meet at the end. I just blew the ending, didn't I? Since I blew the ending, you know what? Before I write the book, I'm going to tell it to everybody, because this book I'm going to put, because even though it's going to be so simple and so peaceful and so happy, it's going to be really, 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 really difficult for me to write. So I'm 36 years old, and some of you know my life story, okay? What I've gone through to write this book called The Black Peach Tree, okay? And there's some concepts that I have to set up before I'm able to write it. But it might be 20 years from now before I put it together. So when my Facebook gets fixed and all that, maybe I'll tell the entire story as a storyteller. Maybe a year or two from now, and then write it 20 years later. But yeah, so the boy and the girl do meet at the very end. So I blew that, so I'll have to tell the story. Darn it. Let me see here. What was I going to say? Oh, yeah, I am going to story tell this one. I've done the short version to a few different psychologists and a couple other people, and I'm getting better at telling it. It's a really, 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 really funny story. I'm just going to call it the Three Disney Princes. The Three Disney Princes. And it takes place in 2025, or just the story takes place in current time, in current time and technology. So it's called the Three Disney Princes, who are Donald Duck, Mickey Mouse, and Goofy. And this story is so damn funny, but it is so damn good. And before I write that one, I'm going to tell it to everybody, and everybody's going to laugh their asses off. This story about Donald Duck, Mickey Mouse, and Goofy is beyond funny. Okay, the people that I have told this story to, they weren't listening very good, so it didn't get very much laughter. But when I tell you guys, everybody's going to laugh their asses off. No, not a doubt in my mind. So yeah, I'm Lance Smith. I'm 36 years old, and I'm a freelance designer. I'm a very peaceful person, but what's funny about saying I'm a peaceful person is everybody's actually into peace. And I'm not being rude, which is why the Nazis were always upset at the Jews. The Jews go, "We are Jews and we are into peace," and the Nazis get upset with it because they go, "Well, we are Nazis. Who isn't into peace?" Okay, everybody's into peace, including Nazis, which is one reason why Nazis always get upset. Why Nazis used to get upset with Jews. Okay, we've come a long ways since that bad stuff happened back in the days, but that was one of the frictions. There was Jews preach that they love peace, and the Nazis say, yes, okay, everybody does love peace. So I say I'm a peaceful person, but what fits me better is I'm a funny person. Yeah, I'm a funny person. That's something that I understand, as how to make people laugh. And people I've learned. People say if you want to be a comedian, or if you don't mind being a comedian, you have to accept a lot of people laughing at you, and that's not hard for me to do at all. If you want to be a comedian, you have to be able to let a bunch of people laugh at you, and I'm actually good at that. And I know a bunch of things about being funny and about comedy. So the idea is, with me, some funny people say, yeah, I'm a funny person and I can be funny all the time. I can't do that. People that have worked with me, they say Lance is a very, very, very funny person. But there's times where 3 months go by and I don't do anything funny at all. And when I'm not doing anything funny, I'm just enjoying peace and joy and taking life seriously like everybody else, which was always funny about me. You have this trust in me, and you know that I will be serious and take serious things seriously, which is what was so funny about me. You never know when I'm going to do something hysterical. And you have to know not to insult anybody or make anyone uncomfortable. Taking cold water and throwing it in someone's face, that breaks comfort, so it's not funny to do. Something really funny that I did when I was working at Target. I have a few extremely funny things at Target, and I'll tell another one later about I was a GSA, which stands for guest service attendant. It's like another way. Targets is kind of they use different terms than manager and stuff. They use like team lead instead of manager, but guest service attendant basically means front or assistant front end manager, so assistant cashier manager. I had a manager above me, and I was the assistant. There was a cashier manager, a guest service and cashier manager, and I was the assistant guest service cashier manager. Okay, and his name was Baron, and we were virtually two comedians working together. Okay, Baron was in his own band, and I was a roadie for his band. Okay, so I was 19 years old and he was like 25, and every couple weeks they would have band practice, and I would come to band practice and I would drink beer and give them encouragement. And then we worked together as the guest service assistant manager and the guest service manager. Okay, so we had some really funny moments, and this is one of the funny moments that we did have. This was really hysterical. I was working guest service, and he was working guest service manager. Okay, so I wasn't really even playing my assistant manager part that day. I was just working a guest service shift, and he's my manager. I don't know which one of us came up with the idea. I can't remember if it was me or him. I think it was me. Okay, I had my face clean shaven, and he was talking to me at guest service. Because whenever we can just talk and be friends while at work, we do that. So he's talking to me, and we're just enjoying the moment. And I told him, hey, I'm at guest service right now, and when people come to return stuff, they're really, really angry. I told him, you should go get one of the permanent markers and draw a big funny mustache on my face, and let's see how all the people returning stuff react to it. And he said that's a great idea, so he went and got a big marker. And, my manager's working with me, and I'm at guest services, and he's taking this time to draw this really funny, big, big black permanent marker mustache on my face. And, he draws it on, he looks back, and he starts laughing. He's like, oh, yeah, that's perfect, and anyways, and it really did work. It was so damn funny. I'm at guest service, and people come back, and, and they want to... they want to return their broken blender or their pants that didn't fit, and they're always a little bit upset, or something broke, so they're returning it. So these people have this bag, and they're going through it, and they put it on the desk, and they're digging out the receipt, and they take out the receipt, and they look at me, and they start explaining it, and they go, is this... they point. They're kind of like giggling, and they're not sure how to act. Oh man, it was a super funny day, I tell you what. And Baron was laughing, and I was laughing, and it was really, really great. But what was so damn funny about that day is in Target, there's a bunch of different managers, and then there's 4 store managers. Then there's 1 boss store manager. And like every 4 months, a district manager comes in. This district manager, she takes care of like 10 different targets. She flies an airplane to each one of them as the district manager. So this day that I draw, Baron draws the mustache on me, the district manager showed up, and She walked past me without noticing, and I was like, oh my God. And Baron's like laughing his ass off. He goes, Molly just showed up. Anyway, she's walking past, and she looks over at me, and I see her look away, and I see her eyes light up, and she goes, She just stared at me and she didn't even know what to say. It was so damn funny. But yeah, me and Barron have a lot of funny stories at Target. You know, and we were all connected. All the main store workers are connected to a walkie-talkie on 2 different channels, the back room and the floor room. And, you know, sometimes the store gets really slow and you're not supposed to get on the radio unless it's for work. But when the floor when the store would get slow and nobody had used the radio, Barron would say, "Come on, Lance, do it." And then I would get on it and just go, and then the store manager would get on and say, "Hey, Barron, Lance, we said stop doing that." And it would make everybody laugh really hard, just getting on the radio and going. It was funny. So, yeah, little simple things like that. So, if you want to be a comedian, you have to be okay with everybody laughing at you, even if you're not laughing, and that's fine with me. But anyways, so I'm Lance Smith. I'm a 36-year-old freelance designer. And I was going to tell everybody what... So who is Lance Smith? So Lance Smith is a man, you know, that was born in Portland, Oregon. Then he lived in Kelso, Washington for a little bit. Then he lived in Pendleton, Oregon for a little bit. Then he moved to Kennewick, Washington at age 6. And he grew up in Kennewick, Washington. He was a boy genius. When he became an adult, a man, he became a man genius. At age 22, a criminal judge framed him as mentally ill. He was framed mentally ill for 14 years. At the end of 14 years, he took $500 and he moved to Florida as a homeless man. So he took his $500 and he bought a tent in Walmart. And he took his tent into the bushes across the street from Walmart. And he lived in his tent across the street from Walmart in the bushes. And he got eaten alive by mosquitoes for about a month. And then he moved into a men's shelter. And for 4 months he worked really, really, really hard. And then he got his own apartment. And now, to this day, Lance is a freelance designer. He works on his own careers and hobbies in life. And he's trying to help the justice system and the psychiatric hospitals, the psychiatric and psychological hospitals. And he's trying to make the most and best of life with everybody. And he believes in equality between men and women, which is why he always walks around most days with a Susan B. Anthony dollar coin in his pocket, because he believes in equality between men and women. Yeah, that's who Lance Smith is. So yeah, I'm not delusional. I'm not lost. I'm not mental. I'm not messed up. When criminals were breaking policy and law against me, and police officers and FBI agents and friends and family wouldn't respond, I used the power of imagination to help and save myself from criminals. Yeah, and I'm extremely good with imagination. I am 100% straight, and my favorite form of imagination to use against criminals and even for fun is being the Little Mermaid. Yes, I enjoy being Ariel. To be honest with you, I enjoy just being Lance myself, but I enjoy using imagination and being Ariel. And yeah, if criminals break policy and law, I turn into the Little Mermaid really, really fast, because I know that imagination is your greatest power against people who break law and policy and you can't reach help. But I know I'm just Lance, a 36-year-old man who's a freelance designer. And I enjoy being Lance myself. So yeah, so this was a good video. I like that Susan B. Anthony coin. I used to hate history. This lady seemed pretty cool. All right, yeah, I got some little comedy for you guys, a little comedian action. This is funny. History, okay? I really hated history. There was only two subjects that I liked. That was the Boston Tea Party and Colonel Custard. And the only thing else in history that I remember enjoying was watching a Sesame Street movie called Big Bird in China. It was a 2-hour Big Bird in China Sesame Street thing that I enjoyed. I hated Sesame Street, I hated history, but it was a fun movie in like the 8th grade or something like that. Well, anyways, I hated all history except for the Boston Tea Party and Colonel Custard. Okay, like, so there's all this crazy stuff in history that doesn't make sense, and it's all sorts of stuff is going on, you know, how this got invented, how this got created, how this got progressed, how this fell apart, how this war happened, how all that happened. You know, and it's not funny. None of it was funny. It was all serious or depressing. And then you read about Colonel Custard. Holy shit, that was funny. Okay, who was Colonel Custard? There was this colonel that took a group of white men out into the wilderness to kill Indians. He took like 50 white men with him to kill Indians, and he lost every battle that he went on. His band of 50 men got smaller and smaller and smaller until he went on his last battle and the Indians killed him. Like, that was so damn funny to me. I was just like, there's all these stories, and then there was Colonel Custard, and Colonel Custard was just the guy that chases after Indians and loses the battle against the Indians. He didn't lose one. Or he didn't win one battle. He didn't win anything. He lost. He lost every time. Okay, what can we learn about Colonel Custard anyways? They say we learn stuff about history. What do we learn about Colonel Custard? Okay, I didn't really learn anything, but I did laugh my ass off when I was learning about it. But I have two funny things to say about Colonel Custard. I told everybody that it would be funny as shit, okay, to make your Halloween costume Colonel Custard. I mean, like, dress up like Colonel Custard and go to a Halloween party and just be like, oh yeah, I am Colonel Custard. That colonel, okay, that lost every battle against the Indians. I fight Indians and I lose. I am Colonel Custard. That would be so damn funny. So the second thing I have to say about Colonel Custard, I'm going to say is 20 times funnier, okay? So I got arrested about 25 times, okay? And I probably got taken to, I would probably say, no less than 50 court hearings. I got brought to a court with a judge and a prosecuting attorney and a defendant attorney and a bailiff and a scribe, okay, at least 50 times. And I say, you know, in my hometown, okay, in the courtroom, I am known as Colonel Custard because I lost every single court battle that I went to, and everyone in the courtroom, including the judge, was acting like a bunch of Indians. And I went to battle every time, and I lost every damn time. You know, in my hometown, I'm known as Colonel Custard in that damn courtroom. But at least I didn't die, so I'm not actually Colonel Custard. I'm Lance Smith. But that's one way I deal with the situation, is a little light comedy. I think I had something cool else to say about history before I finish this video. I don't want this video to shut off on me, but I think I got enough in if it does shut off on me. What was I going to say about? Let me think here. Anything else? I had something in my mind, but I lost it. Maybe it had to do with Susan B. Anthony. History, Susan B. Anthony, okay. Maybe I didn't have anything else to say. Yeah, I bet this video has shocked a lot of people, because you guys didn't understand the whole time. I understood, and I understand. Okay, yeah, all these videos that you've seen of me and that you've heard of me. Okay, I was never a messed up, delusional, lost person. I understood that I'm just a human named Lance the entire time. So I believe this actually shocks everybody. Okay. I have better mental health than most people. Okay. I'm way more in control of my life than a lot of people want to believe. But yeah, you know, I'm working on my own hobbies and careers, and I have a lot of positive to do for my country and my world and my planet, and I'm going to work with everybody until it's my turn to retire and my turn to rest in peace. I guess I could finish with this. You know, I'm someone who's really fascinated with coins. Yeah, you know, I like silver dollars and the Sacagawea coins and stuff, and, you know, gold coins and silver coins. I don't have any gold coins and silver coins, but I window shop a lot when I don't have any money, and I've checked a lot of them out. But the Susan B. Anthony is a really, really cool coin, and it's the, I just like how, can the video see it? No, it doesn't show it in this. Nope, it's not going to show it. The rim on it, it's kind of like, it shows like an octagon on the rim. How do I explain it? But I don't think it's an octagon, it's something different. I think octagons are 8 sides, and that looks like it's more like 12. Hold up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's got either 10 or 12 sides. So octagons I think are 8, and this is 10 or 12 on the rim. Because it has that on the rim, it's a really, really attractive coin. A really attractive coin. Yeah, if you've ever seen a Susan B. Anthony, okay. It's only worth $1, but it's an attractive coin. It's got an eagle on the front, and that must be Susan B. Anthony on the back, but the rim actually just makes it a breathtaking coin. Yeah, coins. I think like the cheapest silver coin that you can buy is going to be worth like $40, and like the cheapest gold coin you can buy is going to be worth like $200. Well, not worth. Okay, the cheapest silver coin you can buy is gonna cost like $40, and the cheapest gold coin is gonna cost you like $200. And you know they say gold never loses its value. Ooh, should I teach you guys something right now about silver and gold? Okay, or should I wait to give that away? Okay. They say silver and gold never loses its value. Okay, is that true or false? Ooh, should I tell everybody that? Okay, I can't resist. I'm going to give this away. You know, I'm chock filled with knowledge and wisdom that helps people, and I don't mind giving it away for free. I just want my Facebook fixed. And I want my legal paychecks. There's some things that I don't want to give away for free, but there's some things that I don't mind giving away for free. I'm filled, okay, chocked full with knowledge and wisdom to help people. I will sell some of it, but I will give some of it away. So I think I've talked myself into giving away the silver and gold thing. So some say that silver and gold never loses its value. Is that true or false? That is false. It never loses its value. Okay. It never loses value. Okay. There is a value that it drops to that it will not drop below. Okay. But there is a time where it can lose. So I mean, in a sense, you know, it is true. Okay, silver and gold never lose its value. Okay. That is true. Kind of. Do you guys see what I'm saying? The idea is, okay, let's say you buy a silver coin for $40. You buy it for $40, and the silver coin is worth $20. Okay? The next year, it might be worth $80, even though it was worth $20 the year before. Okay, I'm not sure what causes that. Okay, but what I'm saying to you is the next year the value might drop down to $10. Okay, maybe the next year it drops down to $5. But there's going to be this amount that it drops to that it can't drop below. It might be $5. Do you guys see what I'm saying? Okay. It's impossible for it to be worth less than $5. Okay. There's some things out there in time. Okay. Their value is going to go down to $0. Silver and gold, it has this price that'll never go below. Like never. Okay. Forever. It'll always have value. Okay. So that's the catch on silver and gold. So it's silver and gold is definitely a good thing to buy. And I have something else cool to teach about silver and gold, even cooler than what I just told you guys, but I'm not going to give that away right now because I want my Facebook fixed. And I want my paycheck, so I can use my paycheck to buy a mattress and some blankets and pillows because I'm tired of sleeping on a wood floor with a few blankets that I bought from the dollar store. I would also like to buy some good food. And my next video, I think I'm going to talk about a few food things. But yeah, if you go to coin shops, They're a lot of fun to window shop if you don't have any money, but if you do have money, it's fun to buy a coin, a silver coin, a gold coin, a brick of silver, a brick of gold, or even clad. They're fun to buy. Clad? Okay, I get a load of this. Okay, if it was funny, so I went into... Yeah, this is a funny story. I went into a I went into a coin store with like, it wasn't very much money. It may have just been $5. It may have been 15. Let's call it $5. So I went into a coin shop with $5 hoping to buy a silver coin. Yep, I wanted to buy a silver coin with $5. And I'm looking around, and I spotted a gold coin that said $5 on it, and I said, no way. And I told the clerk, I will totally take that gold coin for $5, and he laughed at me and said, you mean that gold coin for $5,000? And I was like, well, it says $5, and I had misread the sign incorrectly, so the guy laughed at me. And, I told him, I was like, I got $5. Do you have any silver coins or gold coins I can buy for $5? And he goes, no, absolutely not. He goes, but there is some clad that you can buy for $5. And I was like, clad? What are you talking about? He was like, yeah, we have clad coins too. And I'm not sure what clad is, but I think whatever a quarter or a dime or a nickel is made out of, it might just be clad. But anyways, in coin shops, they have what's called clad coins. They're big and small coins that have really cool prints on them, and they're really reasonable price. Some of them are expensive, but some of them are really, really cheap. So, I mean, I ended up buying a clad coin for like $4. That was pretty cool. It was decent in size, and I think it was an Olympic clad coin. I don't even really care about the Olympics very much, but it was all I could afford. I think it had a gymnast on it, a girl gymnast, like walking the beam, and on the front of it, it had like an eagle. And, I paid the $4 for it, and then kept it on me. And, let me see here. Yeah, and I mean, the idea was, I was just trying to buy a silver coin to get me through to the next day. Well, it's interesting with me, I have no money, and I'm trying to save some money, so I decided to buy a coin that has value and see what I can use the valuable coin for to buy something later while I'm homeless with no money. And yeah, so the idea was, I mean, the Olympics I don't care for too much, but I think watching the girl gymnasts on the beam is really, really cool. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, I like that coin. I'll go ahead and take it. But I think, I do interesting stuff in societies. Like, this has worked before, too. This is funny. But yeah, I have my clad coin where it's worth $4, and you go into a gas station and you tell the clerk, this is worth $4. Can I buy a candy bar worth $1? Sometimes they say yes. You get surprised with things like this in life. Anyways, let me see here. But yeah, as long as the clad coin supports their policy, they'll take the policy. And I mean, there's companies where their policy can bend what kind of money they accept for what they're selling. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, some companies say our policy won't accept a clad coin. Other companies, they'll say, you know what, we can't accept the clad coin. You can have the candy bar. But there's 2 coin shops in my own hometown. The one uptown that I would go to, it was funny. I go in there with no money. And I told him I just wanted to browse for a while, and there's this big basket filled with old coins that said take for free. And I was like, what are these? He said, those are for little kids. And I was like, do do you mind if I take like 10 of them? He goes, you can take 20 of them if you want. I said, thank you, you know. And for like an hour, he watched me pick out a bunch of these coins that I liked, and I put them in my pocket. And I'm thinking to myself, these are old coins that have no value in society. So I'm thinking to myself, you know, how can I spend this? Because I have no money but these coins that I've got from a coin shop. And I was like, you know what? I wonder if the bus will take me on a bus ride. So I go to the bus and I pull out, you know, 5 of these coins, and I tell the lady, I don't have $1.50, but I have these old coins. And she goes, you can get on the bus and you can keep your coins. So, I mean, the coins got me on the bus. And not just that, I went to a farmer's market. And, you know, I wanted an onion, okay, because let me see here. I was staying somewhere and I needed an onion to cook something. You know, I wanted an onion. Yeah, I think I was going to a friend's house. I may have used an EBT to get a steak, and I wanted an onion or something like that. So I went to a farmer's market and I said, you know, I have 20 coins. I was hoping to get an onion and anything else you'll have to offer me. And the farmer looked at the coins and he said, you know what, I'll do that for you. And he gave me an onion, and he said, oh, you know, I'll also give you, you know, you can also have 2 peaches. And I said, awesome, man, this is wonderful, thank you, you know, have a good day. And it really did happen. So, you know, I went to a coin shop, I got 20 coins that had no value for free, then I got a bus ride, and I bought an onion and 2 peaches, okay. Really, really cool. You know, this is 2025, and I was still able to do that. How wonderful is that? You know, thought came to mind, which is why I can relate to that character Huckleberry Finn so much. You know, I could talk all day about that book, Huckleberry Finn. You know, who was Huckleberry Finn? It was kind of like he was a 12-year-old who dropped out of school and left his father's house and became a homeless 12-year-old. He wasn't putting up with his father's abuse, and because of his abuse, he couldn't handle going to school, so he dropped out of school at like age 12 and became homeless. Not just that, he went and knocked on a random person's door and said, my father's abusive, can I live with you? And the lady said, sure, come on in. You know, and for like a month he lived with her, and he got bored of it, and he would rather go be homeless than live in the house with the lady. So anyways, Huckleberry Finn was a 12-year-old homeless boy that smoked tobacco and enjoyed fishing. So, I mean, he would do under-the-table work in his community, and men would give him money, and he would spend money on food, fishing gear, and tobacco, and then be homeless. And whenever he got tired of sleeping outside, he would go knock on that lady's door. She said, hey, Huckleberry, welcome back. Go take a shower. After the shower, okay, go do 2 hours of chores in the backyard, and then go get ready for dinner. And he would hang out with the lady for a couple more weeks, and then he would go be homeless again. So, I mean, like, what was that 12-year-old doing out in society? I mean, the reason I can relate to that is because of these countless stories I have of things like going into a coin shop with no money. A man lets me have 20 coins and it turns into a bus ride, and then I'm paying a farmer money for fruit and an onion. But yeah, I can talk all day about the story of Huckleberry Finn. It's really, really funny. I'll explain let me think here, okay? I'll show you guys one funny thing about the book, and I'll give one thing away of that book, Huckleberry Finn, that was written by Mark Twain, that most people have heard of. Okay, when you when you read the book Huckleberry Finn, there's an introduction that's really, really funny. The introduction's only like 3 or 4 pages long, and for the first couple pages it says, whatever you do, don't ever try to be this person, okay? I tell you what, don't ever, okay, try to be Huckleberry Finn. Just don't do it. Don't ever, 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 don't ever, 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 ever try to be Huckleberry Finn, okay? Just don't try to be Huckleberry Finn, okay? Whatever you do, okay? Do not try to be Huckleberry Finn, man. Just don't try to be Huckleberry Finn. Whatever you do, don't try to be Huckleberry Finn, okay? And then the next couple pages, it says something like, no matter, it says something really funny, like, anyone who can make any sense out of this book is going to get killed, okay? If you can make any point out of this book, you're going to get killed for it, or something like that. It's really, really funny, okay? But I can make a bunch of points out of this book, Huckleberry Finn, okay? Not just that. Why would the book say don't ever try to be Huckleberry Finn, okay? The idea is the only way that you can be Huckleberry Finn is if you're innocent, okay? If you tell someone that you're Huckleberry Finn and you're not innocent, odds are you're going to get the living shit kicked out of you, just letting you know, okay? Yeah, to pull off Huckleberry Finn, you simply have to be innocent, and then anyone can do it. But yeah, read the introduction to that book, Huckleberry Finn. It's pretty damn funny, okay? The introduction is like, don't try to, whatever you do, okay? Don't try to be Huckleberry Finn. Just don't do it. Don't ever, ever do it. Don't ever, ever try to be Huckleberry Finn. And then it says some funny shit. Like, yeah, if anyone who claims to get a point of this book is full of shit or something like that. It's something really funny. If you read the introduction, Mark Twain really did write that. He goes, yeah, anybody who claims who got a plot out of this book or got a point or got a... You'll have to read the introduction. It's really funny as hell. When I read the thing, it actually... When I read it, I thought to myself, I'm not going to call myself Huckleberry Finn. At age 12... I didn't read the book. My English teacher simply said, she was our English teacher, so she said, have you guys ever heard of Huckleberry Finn? And, the name caught my eye, and I was like, that sounds cool. And she goes, well, Huckleberry Finn was a boy that did nothing but go on adventures, and he once built a homemade raft and floated down the Mississippi River on it. And I thought to myself, that's everything I want to be. So after that, every day after I got out of school, I did all I could to make an adventure happen, either by myself or with friends. And that summer, I actually built a big-ass homemade raft, and I floated like a quarter mile down the Columbia River. Okay. Building a raft is a pain in the ass, I tell you what. They don't hold together well. You have to put all day's work into it to make the damn thing float. Where am I going with this? This would be a cool way to end this. Again, I understand that I'm just a human named Lance, but Huckleberry Finn, I just had I had an idea from taking that character from that book, and I started thinking of a movie script for Huckleberry Finn, like a 2025 Huckleberry Finn, like I thought it would be funny to make like a oh man. Like a, what would you say, a movie called the 20th Century Huckleberry Finn. But I got to thinking about it, and I actually came up with something really cool, where there could be I haven't created it yet, but my mind could. If some people worked with me, we could definitely do something really cool where, it could be like it could be like a 15 or a 16-year-old girl or a 10-year-old girl. You guys would have to um, help me bring this idea together. But anyway, something happens, and this girl is given the wish to make any book character come to life to help her. That she wants. She can choose any of them from these books she's read. She can choose anything. Well, think about it, like anything. It would just trying to think of past characters. She can bring to life Peter Pan. She can bring to life Jack Sparrow. She can bring to life the Sandman. She can bring to life how many characters? Like the idea is there's hundreds of characters to choose one, and like the most bone dry one is Huckleberry Finn, and she's given this wish to bring any character to life that she wants from a book, and she wishes on Huckleberry Finn. Okay, and something or like a day goes by and she doesn't think the wish happened. She doesn't think the magic happens. And maybe she's like trying to think here. She's walking in the grocery store or something, and she spots a boy she spots a boy, okay, with that hat on and cut off jeans, and she looks over and she walks up and she goes, Huckleberry, and he turns around and goes, what? Like, what do you want from me? And she goes, oh my gosh, it worked, And then you have to create some kind of, I've already got some kind of idea of how to bring that story together, and I kind of get an idea of the ending. But I mean, that's just stuff that my mind thinks about all the time. I mean, it has stuff like that in, and it lets it go, but I can only work at one thing at a time, but I'm trying to think. I need to wrap up this video. It's getting long. I'm getting tired. Craving some fruit. But there's no fruit in my fridge, and I need to save my apple juice to bake my turkey on Thanksgiving. Don't want to spend my Susan B. Anthony, but I might at the dollar store or a can of fruit or something. Why did I make this video? To tell everybody that the whole time I knew I was a human named Lance. I was never delusional, mental, messed up, or lost. A victim, yes, I was, but delusional, no, I was not. My next video, I'm going to talk about cooking 3 different foods. And as for now, I'm going to go get ready for bed after I find a little something to eat. Then I'm brushing my teeth and going to bed.